Manila, present day. A congressman's office door reads, Representative, 3rd District, Luzon. The national anthem plays before a basketball game, but it's the Star-Spangled Banner, sung in Tagalog-accented English. None of this happened, but in February 1899, the U.S. Senate came one vote away from making the Philippines the 51st state, 50 years before Alaska or Hawaii got the chance. What if that one vote had gone the other way? Real story. In 1898, the Treaty of Paris ended the Spanish-American War. Spain sold the Philippines to the U.S. for $20 million. Filipinos weren't in the room. Congress split over what to do with it. Anti-imperialists like Mark Twain called ruling a foreign population without consent a betrayal of American principles. Expansionists like Senator Beveridge called it destiny. A compromise vote, the McEnery Resolution, promising eventual Filipino independence, failed by exactly one vote, 29-30. Weeks later, an American sentry shot a Filipino soldier on a bridge outside Manila, and war broke out. It killed over 4,000 Americans and up to 1 million Filipinos, once famine and disease are counted. The colony lasted until 1946, 44 years of American rule without American citizenship. Pivot. Now rewind that Senate vote. 2 senators flip, not toward independence, but toward the opposite extreme. Full incorporation, the same legal track Congress used for Louisiana in 1803 and would later use for Hawaii and Alaska. No colonial limbo, just a promise written into the resolution itself. Americanize, build the institutions, and in time, admit as a state. It's historically plausible. Congress had already done exactly this for other territories. It just never chose to for a population this large, this non-white, this far from the mainland. The incorporated Philippines target. For politics, 1899-1946. The Philippines becomes an incorporated U.S. territory in 1899, Hawaii's exact legal category, a year early. A non-voting delegate takes a seat in the House. Thomasites, American teachers by the thousands, build an English-language school system from scratch. A generation of Filipino elites wins pensionado scholarships to U.S. universities and comes home expecting the promised path to statehood to actually happen. It doesn't move fast. Manuel Quezon, in our timeline, the man who fought for a 10-year independence clock, spends the 1920s and 30s campaigning for full congressional votes instead, arguing a Filipino senator does more for Filipino interests than a sovereign but powerless republic ever could. By the 1930s, Manila is running its own statehood campaign, rallies outside the Ayuntamiento, English newspapers running, 51 stars. Headlines, delegates lobbying Congress, the way Hawaii's actually did for 6 decades. There's even a Manila Baseball League, modeled on the American majors, half soft power proof that the territory is ready. It doesn't fully convince anyone. Southern senators, wary of a non-white population large enough to swing national elections, quietly stall every bill in committee. Sound familiar? It's the same maneuver that kept Hawaii waiting until 1959. Then December 1941 changes everything. This isn't a colonial possession getting attacked. It's incorporated U.S. territory, legally closer to Pearl Harbor than to French Indochina. Bataan doesn't read as America abandoning a colony. It reads as America failing to defend its own citizens in waiting. War bonds sell differently. Casualty lists read differently in Congress. Reinforcement becomes a political imperative, not a strategic afterthought. By 1946, the exact year our timeline granted independence, this Philippines is formally petitioning for statehood instead, the way Hawaii would petition through the following decade. And here's the problem for Washington: nearly 19 million people, bigger than every state in the Union except New York and Pennsylvania. Statehood doesn't add a star. It adds 40-plus House seats overnight, an electoral vote count rivaling California's, 2 Senate seats representing a Catholic, Southeast Asian, non-white majority population. Arriving at the exact moment Jim Crow still governs half the country and immigration law still excludes Asians by quota outright. If admission happens anyway, a Philippines this size reshapes American politics itself, a Catholic, agrarian voting bloc, courted like Texas or Florida, presidential candidates campaigning in Cebu the way they do in Ohio. A Filipino-American president isn't unthinkable before the century's out. Economy. Statehood means the peso disappears, replaced by the dollar decades early. Manila doesn't just become a regional financial hub, it becomes a domestic one. No tariffs, no investment caps, direct access to the US market. Sugar, coconut, later electronics, all move to American shelves like goods between any two states. But the real shift is migration. Instead of the overseas Filipino worker economy we actually have today, an entire national economy partly built on labor export, nurses and seafarers and domestic workers sending remittances home from Saudi Arabia, Dubai, Hong Kong. Filipino migration becomes interstate, not international. A brain drain to California and the mainland looks less like emigration and more like the post-war Puerto Rican migration to New York. Still displacement, still communities built far from home, but with a US passport already in hand and a vote back home that actually counts in a presidential race. International standing, the cost side. Here's the trade-off nobody advertises. No independent trade policy. No seat as a sovereign nation at the 1955 Bandung Conference alongside India and Indonesia. No non-aligned movement membership. No courting Japanese or Chinese investment on its own terms through the Cold War. A congressional delegation this size, potentially 40 or more House seats, makes the Philippines a kingmaker in national elections, but only inside America's foreign policy, never as an independent voice setting its own. Economic integration, bought with foreign policy independence. Culture, the identity that never settles. Every generation refights the same argument. Kids pledge allegiance to a flag that added a star for their grandparents, while those grandparents remember when American meant occupier. A generation grows up fluent in English, trained in American civic institutions, culturally closer to California than to the rest of Southeast Asia, and every election becomes a referendum not just on policy, but on identity. Are we a state now, fully and finally, or a nation folded into someone else's before it ever got the chance to stand fully on its own? Back in our timeline, no incorporation, no slow-walked statehood bill, just full independence in 1946, arriving the same year Manila lay in ruins, one of the most devastated Allied capitals of the war, second only to Warsaw. No OFW economy waiting in the wings, no Bandung seat traded away, just a republic that had to rebuild everything itself, on its own terms, starting from zero. Verdict. So would it have actually happened? Almost certainly not. No Congress in American history has admitted a state this large, this non-white, without decades of deliberate stalling, and the real-world proof is sitting in plain sight. Puerto Rico has been in that exact limbo since the same 1898 treaty, still voting on its status more than a century later. My take, statehood was never the likely outcome here. Too integrated to release, too large and too different to ever fully admit, permanent limbo was always more likely than the 51st star. And Filipino identity, forged in resistance to Spain, then to the very annexation, this episode imagines going differently, not granted by a Congress that changed its mind one vote later than it did, might have been the bigger loss of all. Would you have taken the deal? Tell me in the comments. If you want to see the other paths, this history could have taken 3 nations instead of 1, a war that never ends, a Sabah that stays Filipino, the rest of the What If? Filipinas series is right here on the channel. Subscribe, drop your own What If in the comments, and I'll see you in the next timeline.